Hi, I'm Gabe Teran. I am a resident of the City of Oxnard and the current appointed City Council member for District 2. And I'm going to be talking to you real quickly about an item that's coming up at the coming Tuesday's July 13th City Council committee meetings. And this is the American Rescue Plan Act preliminary ideas for investment of our funding we'll be receiving from the federal government. So real quickly, it's slated that we'll be receiving about $59.5 million from the federal government for economic recovery from the coronavirus. And so really what we need to start looking at is having a policy discussion around this one-time source of funding that's coming from the federal government that the city can invest in to do continued improvements around the city. But where should we do that? What should we focus on? So there are some restrictions placed on it, like the city cannot pay down debt service. They can't pay off any legal settlements or judgments from it. There are a number of other restrictions placed on it. However, anything having to do with recovery from the coronavirus, economic impact, infrastructure, childcare, there's a number of different things. We can look at potentially utilizing that funding to enhance those areas within the city. So I'm just going to share my screen with you here real quick to show you how to access this information, because I think it'd be really great for members of the public to see what some of the initial ideas are and be able to provide that input to council or to the committees on the night of the meetings. So first things first, you're going to go to oxnard.org, to the city's website. You're going to come and click on government and then all city meetings. And then you can scroll down here to see the city meetings, and you'll see that we have the Finance and Governance Committee meeting at 5 p.m., Community Services, Public Safety, Housing and Development Committee at 6:45, and the final committee meeting for that evening will be Public Works and Transportation Committee at 8:30 p.m. So 3 different meetings. There are other items on the agenda for each of those respective committees. However, each of those committees has the same item near the end that has to do with the American Rescue Plan. So I'm just going to show you, you would click here and then click on packet, and it will load up, and I have it preloaded for us just for simplicity here. And you'll scroll down, you'll find the item here, the staff report starts, and it gives you background on the American Rescue Plan. You can click here on the link for the video where the city manager explains it and also explains how the process will work for the committees. But most importantly, I'd like to draw your attention to this set of pages here, which has the investment ideas that were gathered from department heads and city staff on, these are items that we have needs in around the city, and here's how much they would cost, and how could these possibly be funded by maybe this funding source, right? This one-time funding. So know that on here, there's like 85 items, and they're all very they all pertain to these areas that have to do with what the federal government said you can spend this funding on, and there are needs that happen all throughout the city. For example, you can see here the Saviors Road corridor, acquisition of trash receptacles and marketing campaigns to revitalize that business corridor, right? But I also want to point out that you'll have a short description, you'll have how it meets the criteria of the funding source. You also have an approximate cost for what each of those items will be. Is this a city council priority from the 5-year priority plans that we just recently passed? And then also, will it come in the first round of funding, which you see a 1 here, or the second round of funding, which you'll see as a 2? Lastly, this last row is important because this can help folks as they look through this. Are there any other funding sources currently identified or potential funding sources that could fund this item? So as you go through this, I encourage people to look through it and contact your council member. You can email all the council members in one shot by emailing cityclerk@oxnard.org and asking the city clerk to forward it to the city council. You can provide your thoughts on there and what you think should be priority areas. But you can also call in the evening of, just sign up to do so at the city's website. I'll go back here real quick. At the top of this page, you can see that it says July 13th, committee meetings, public comment sign up. And you can click on that, and then this form will come up, and you can fill out what you would like to speak on for which meeting, and you can see on this one, it says Preliminary American Rescue Plan Act investment ideas, and each of them will have that as an item. All right, so I hope that was helpful for you to be able to take a look at that. No, it will be a policy discussion that evening. There won't be decisions made this coming Tuesday on like, this is what we're going to be spending the funding on, but rather it's going to be initial discussion to see what initial ideas and priorities kind of rise to the top. Then that'll be forwarded to the full council for their last council meeting in the month of July. Then it will come back to council, I believe in September, and we should by then have full guidance and understanding from the federal government on what we can and cannot use the funding for. And then the final decision we made in September about, okay, we have a plan, we know what we're going to be focusing on. Here's what we're going to make a formal vote on how we're going to be spending this ARP funding. So I hope that was helpful. Really hoping to hear from much of the public around their thoughts on this. And thank you very much. Hoping to hear from you, and take care.